St. Augustine Airport is a great benefit to the citizens of St. Johns County, offering transportation and viable business services to the area. Situated between U.S. Highway 1 to the west and the Intercoastal Waterway to the east, the airport property features a beautiful coastal environment. With hammocks of mature growth trees bordering the wetlands, airport runways and taxiways lay adjacent to an expansive salt marsh with diverse wildlife. A major aspect of the project is the reestablishment and stabilization of a standard runway safety area.
The basic need is to provide our standard runway safety area for runway 1331. We've got to have a 500-foot wide safety area which has eroded on the southeast section of the runway. You want to make sure there's an area surrounding the runway where an aircraft or a vehicle can be supported.
This is a project that we started talking about, I want to say 10 years ago. And it's evolved over the years as a requirement to bring our runway safety area back into design standards at the insistence of the FAA.
Runway safety area is obviously the top priority, but not only fixing the runway safety area, but fixing it so that it will be there down the road for future airport authorities and future generations.
On the slopes closest to the water, we are installing an articulated concrete block, and we're installing that along the shoreline to keep it stabilized so that future wave actions, erosion, tidal effects minimize or eliminate erosion in the future. And we are also coming back in on top of this block, and we are placing wetland plants in the holes and laying a fabric down as well to protect and allow the plants to develop. So it's going to be what they call living shoreline.
You know, you look at it and you see these large mats of concrete going down, and you think about a heavily fortified, concrete, stabilized shoreline, but that's not what you see today. I mean, that's what's beneath it, so that the east side of the safety area will not erode. But you see the living shoreline that exists now that we're gone. It's green, it's tidal, but beneath the living shoreline is the stabilized concrete mat to protect the east side of the runway, which again is the base need for the project.
Certainly safety is the primary concern for the airport and the community it serves. But not far behind safety is another key issue: the environmental impact of development projects at the airport.
So environment is important to a lot of the citizens of the county. And this project being environmentally sensitive and right, there shouldn't be any concerns from the public if they're aware, made aware, public relations wise, of the benefits of it.
We are very much into being environmentally conscious with our resources and reusing whatever resources we can. Our airport is one of the most environmentally friendly airports you'll come across. We're very proud of that.
One geographic feature of the airport is this seaplane and barge basin, created nearly 50 years ago. The construction of this facility involved dredging an existing channel area to create a basin of sufficient depth to serve seaplane and barge traffic. The dredge material was placed on the adjacent salt marsh area.
We're talking about a spoil island that was created back in the mid-60s that created an uplands phenomenon right in the middle of a salt marsh. Since that time, the state of Florida and Department of Environmental Protection and various agencies have realized the importance of salt marshes.
Salt marshes play a large role in the aquatic food web and the exporting of nutrients to coastal waters. They also provide support to terrestrial animals such as migrating birds, as well as providing coastal protection from storms. Of primary importance, salt marshes are vital to the health and growth of the central fish habitat. It is in salt marshes that spawning takes place, as well as the maturation of fish that populate local waterways as well as the ocean.
We needed to mitigate our saltwater wetland impacts first in the immediate area of the project and the airport. There was no other area, no other project where we could get the mitigation we needed, so the island became both the logical area the needed area, and it just made good sense from everybody to say, let's mitigate right adjacent to our project site.
It was very interesting because me being a tree lover, a land lover, did not really buy into that was going to be the best use of that land. For me, that was a challenging position on the face of it. And our airport authority received quite a bit of criticism at looking at that, because the face of it is the airport's taken down this island to build and restructure. And we did the environmental studies to verify that we weren't getting rid of anything, that there really wasn't a lot of growth on that island. What I understood to be the case was in fact the case. It was the highest and best use of the land to be returned back to the saltwater marsh.
That's an important thing to note, because we turned it back to its natural state. We didn't remove it from its natural state. We brought it back to what it should be.
So there was some challenges in terms of actually executing the work. It is an island system, it's coastal marsh restoration, and it's superimposed on an airport. It's hard to get to it without damaging the environment excessively, which wasn't allowed in the permits. We were able to come in and still implement a successful way to access the island, remove all the materials, the woody debris and those roots and stumps, as well as collect and consolidate the fill material and excavate that off the island and establish the target grades for the tidal channel as well as the marsh. Our suggestion after being awarded the contract was to work with the regulatory agencies and relocate to a higher northern site where there was higher marsh, there wasn't as much open water crossings. It created safer crossing for people and equipment. We created a floating bridge, if you will, and that's what we actually drove across. We had walls on either side, temporary walls supported underneath by braces, and this is 1,200 feet long. It was interesting, we had a friend of ours talking about the project, that they had seen it from the water and that it was really cool because it looked like they were just driving across the marsh, you know, but you couldn't, all you could see was the trucks moving across it as the work was progressing, and not really see any bridge or infrastructure. Well, the tidal channel was actually a good idea. It increases your tidal influence on the 17-acre site. It increases the interchange of nutrients, water, provides essential habitat and varied habitat. Instead of a flat marsh, you have a different element which tends to concentrate fish for wading birds. It tends to provide a better tidal flow throughout the site, which improves water quality. And that again increases your tidal connection with not just the 17-acre site, but 100 acres beyond that. It has an influence.
We were going to impact the environment by destroying some of the habitat and destroying some of the oyster beds, which are shellfish harvesting. It wasn't just oysters, it was clams and mussels and such. That's considered an impact and has to be mitigated in some way or another. And so what we had to do was move oysters to create new oyster beds.
And oysters are incredibly important for functioning as water filters. They provide a lot of benefits in terms of water quality and keeping areas clean, and they take up a lot of silt and filter a lot of organics. And some people even eat them too. So
when you look at the plant life that's in a salt marsh, the different grasses, the different plants that are there, we had to replace those and create those plantings on this salt marsh. I don't remember the exact number, but it was just, I want to say a little under 200,000 plants. Each one of those put in one at a time by hand.
And it takes a bunch of people, 15 people, 4 weeks of planting to install plants. They're on 3-foot centers. There's 3 species, 3 types of wetland plants. And then again, Mother Nature is going to come in and bring in other types of plants that are out there.
The goal of mitigation most of the time is not a one-to-one impact. And we have exceeded what we needed to do on this. In other words, the impacts that we have, we're putting a lot more back.
One of the necessities of this project was securing sufficient space for the staging of equipment and placement of materials removed from the spoil island.
We asked that every single aspect of the project be reused and reutilized, and really got the assurance from the engineering and from the different program administrators to make sure that we reutilized every aspect of it.
Typically, when you do dredging or digging up of soil materials, you haul them off-site, and you pay to haul them off-site. And then typically the next project, you pay somebody to buy them back and haul them back again. Well, we do have some spare land on the airport, and fortunately it was right beside where these projects are, where you come across the saltmarsh. There it is. So this location just happened to be there, and it was just perfect.
That area has everything from debris from the trees, it's got millings from the runway, it's got soil from the island, and frankly the economic value of that recycling and reuse area is hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions.
Some of the material we were able to screen through a specialized piece of equipment, a trommel screen, where it rotates and removes all the woody sticks and roots and vegetation. And what's left behind is a suitable fill material or topsoil that we can use on the project. So we use a lot of the mulch on the airport. Even the mulch that wasn't used on the airport was turned into mulch and used elsewhere in the community. The soil, the fill, is what we're using to fill in along the runway safety area to do the improvements, widening, expanding to establish the 250-foot runway safety area. So that's fill material that's being placed there. I estimate somewhere between 85 and 90% of the total material from the island has been repurposed, reused, either specifically at the airport or in the community.
As this significant redevelopment project nears completion, various stakeholders were invited to tour the site areas and reflect on their observations.
As far as I personally go, I think it's a good project. I approve of it, and I think everybody working on it, the staff at the airport and Passero, is doing a good job.
No question, a huge part of the success of the project was our contractor. I mean, Turnbull and Rich, they're a huge part of the success in terms of working with us and having the same vision with the airport authority and what everybody's trying to achieve.
I think that it's amazing what's been done. It really, truly is. And I love the fact that everybody that was involved in this project truly looked at it from a cost-effective standpoint, from an environmentally effective standpoint, from a resource reutilization of materials.
It is important to note that airport operations continued throughout the project.
All the objectives met, on schedule, on budget, things that mean a lot to us and our client, the airport authority staff. Couldn't be more happy with where we ended up. And, the results have been, they speak for themselves.
We're not making it just the same as it was. We're making it a lot better.